Bear in mind that the Range Rover alone was going to cost me £6,000. Now I've got my wife's car, now I've got my weekend car, and some other cars that we have. Now if I bunch them all together into this fleet policy, whereas previously last year I paid the best part of I think it's 4,300, let's say best part of £5,000 for car insurance alone for all the cars that we own. Hi guys, it's Arsh, and in today's video we're going to be talking about something which is completely non-property related, and I really need your help with this. So in my world it's car insurance renewal time, and I've been hit with this dilemma of whether I need to renew either the car insurance or whether I actually need to renew the car. Before we get into it, I need a small favor from you. If you wouldn't mind hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell. Every time I release a video, you get to get notified of it. Now, as you may be aware, this channel is sponsored by the Property Investor app, which is the UK's first property investment platform, which showcases all kinds of deals all over the UK, whether it's a below market value deal, a rent to rent deal, lease option deal. We've got them all there. Now, there are two ways to get involved. You can either go to the website, which is propertyinvestораpp.co.uk, or if you've got a smartphone, go to the App Store, type in Property Investor and download it from there. Now, at the moment, I'm in the process of changing my car, and there's no secret, I lease my work vehicle through my business. So every 3 or 4 years, I change it. So I've got a Range Rover Sport, and for those that are familiar with the news, they have become quite a desirable vehicle to steal. So they are on what is considered a hot list for insurance companies. And last year, I actually paid approximately £1,200 to renew my insurance for the last year. Now, as I'm coming to renew my vehicle, I've gone to the insurance company and said, guys, okay, I'm getting rid of the old Range Rover. I'm actually now getting a new shape Range Rover. Would you mind just providing me with a quote? Bear in mind that the new vehicle hasn't arrived yet. It's due to arrive first week of September, but I thought I'd get some quotes. With everything that's going on in the news, I thought I'd try and be a little bit proactive, and it'd be good to get your feedback on this. And here's your first top tip. Before you buy or commit to another vehicle, especially with what's going on in the world right now, it's always good to get an insurance quote, because you may think that in actual fact, buying the car is the hardest part, but believe it or not, insuring the vehicle is equally as difficult. So getting funding for a car is easy. Getting the car insured is actually probably more difficult. So I call it my insurance company, who seems to be Admiral right now at the moment, may not be for much longer, but I'll call them and say, guys, okay, that vehicle's now going, getting a new vehicle on the 1st of September. Can you quote me for the new vehicle? And they said, right. Based on the new vehicle, because it is another Range Rover, because of the fact that it is a highly desirable to thieves, we're now quoting you the best part of £6,000 for the insurance premium for 1 year, for one vehicle. And I can't believe it, because last year I only paid £1,200, so £1,200, and now it's gone up to £6,000, even though I've had 0 crashes, even though I've had 0 convictions, even though I've not had any points on my license, but yet I'm still being penalized for the fact that I'm getting a car which is attractive to thieves, even though the car is held on a private driveway or in a garage, even though it's going to have a tracker and another immobilizer. So we're doing everything that we can to make sure that the thieves don't take it away. We're still being penalized. And I was told that if you're living in London, believe it or not, they won't actually insure a Range Rover. So if you live in London and you're looking to buy a Range Rover, definitely suggest that you call an insurance company and see if they're actually going to insure you. Because if you buy it and you then are not able to insure it, what are you going to do with this vehicle thereafter? So I was going to lease this work vehicle for 3 years. Now, leasing a vehicle is easy. And the reason why I lease the vehicle is because A, the amount of miles that I do on average between 15 and 20,000 miles a year. So the amount that the vehicle will depreciate, it's kind of dead money if you go and buy a vehicle. Now, you could say that this is the same kind of scenario of, do you buy a house or do you lease a house? Are you renting a house? Because is renting dead money or is buying dead money? Whereas with a vehicle, it is a depreciating asset. So I'd rather lease a vehicle. And not only that, I know that if it gets beaten up or if there's scratches and what have you, it doesn't really matter because it's a work vehicle. any of the vehicles that I have like classic cars and stuff like that, I buy them. So I buy them, or we do some kind of creative finance on them. So, because they're assets which appreciate in value, whereas the work vehicle generally will depreciate. So the moment I drive that Range Rover off the forecourt, because it's a brand new vehicle, straight away I'm going to lose 20%, which is the VAT element. And if the vehicle's the best part of £100,000, I've lost 20,000 literally within minutes of it being driven off the forecourt. So anyway, going back to my point. So I called up some insurance companies. Now, I put this out on my social media feed, and believe it or not, I've had hundreds of messages and lots of people actually sending me DMs with different solutions as to what they've done. And people who also own other Range Rovers have been in contact saying, Arsh, we've seen the difference in increase. Now, from what I understand, or having spent the day speaking to insurance brokers and insurance companies, there's certain things that take a precedence when they're looking at doing the quote. So first of all is location. So they have a look at how many cars have been stolen in your location over a period of time. And it just happens to appear that Wolverhampton seems to be a bit of a hotspot. Not only in Wolverhampton, but the West Midlands in general seems to be a bit of a hotspot for stealing Range Rovers in particular. So I don't know what's going on, but obviously it is a hotspot, and that's obviously caused me a reason for concern, because not only are they trying to take the vehicle, but obviously some of them are actually trying to go into people's houses, take the keys and stuff like that. So is that a risk now to me and my family? That's one of the questions. Now, the second thing that they look at is, so they look at the area, they look at the number of thefts, they have a look at what's going on, and they've seen how many thefts have happened actually in the country. So in actual fact, my premium, if I were to pay at 6,000, in actual fact, I'm paying for all the other thefts across the country, which is a bit crazy. Now, when I put it out to my social media feed, some people have come back to us and said, well, Arsh, if you own more than one car, you can actually get something called a fleet policy. So a fleet policy is where if you've got a number of cars in your household, instead of just insuring the cars one by one, the wife may be insuring a car, the husband may be insuring a car, and then if you've got children, the children may be insuring cars, you bunch them all together into one policy. Now, ultimately, there comes with pros and cons. When I've looked at this, the pros is that it naturally brings everything together, it tidies it all up, and you only pay one amount for all the cars. So everyone in that household is then insured under this one policy. One of the negatives is that you don't get your no claims bonus, because obviously there's only one policy. Technically, there's only one policy holder and all the other people are named drivers. So that is one way around it. So fleet policies are becoming more and more popular. Now, when I've inquired about a fleet policy, bear in mind that the Range Rover alone was going to cost me 6,000. Now I've got my wife's car, now I've got my weekend car, and some other cars that we have. Now, if I bunch them all together into this fleet policy, whereas previously last year I paid the best part of 5,000, I think it's 4,300, let's say best part of £5,000 for car insurance alone for all the cars that we own. Now, if I put it onto a fleet policy, I've been given a quote today of 3,000, and that means that I can just keep adding cars in, and what they look at is the value of the cars and how much the actual fleet is worth, and then according to what we've got at the moment, so it's approximately 3,000. I'm just waiting to confirm that they'll add the new Range Rover in, or whether we need to do something with that. So that's definitely one way. Now, something that someone came up with, I don't know if this is within or out of the law, but I'm going to mention it anyway because I thought it's quite clever. So what the insurance company want to know is where that car is parked at night. So what you can actually do is, in actual fact, so if you've got another property where you pay all the bills, so you pay the council tax, water rates, electricity, gas, broadband, which is technically a HMO, and you've got properties dotted all over the country. Now, I have got properties in Cornwall, which is a low risk area. I could technically say that I live in Cornwall and the car is kept down in Cornwall. Now, should anything happen and the car was stolen in, let's say, Birmingham, I could say that I'm traveling within Birmingham. I'm not sure whether this is within or out of law because I'm waiting for some insurance brokers to make me aware. Personally, I think it's a grey area and it's not something that I'd be comfortable with, especially if I know that I'm living in the West Midlands and if I'm putting the car as if it's insured down in Cornwall. But someone said that they live in London and they put their insurance against an address that they own in Milton Keynes, and their insurance went down from £7,500 to £1,200, which is a massive difference. So you can see the reason why I think that it's something to explore, but whether it's a grey area, whether it's allowed or not is completely different. But I'm just, if I'm honest, I was absolutely shocked. I'm glad I haven't taken delivery of the car yet without doing this research. More importantly, because I already own a Range Rover. If I was to reject the new Range Rover and I keep the existing Range Rover, I've been told that the the insurance premium of, let's say, £6,000, it's not just against a new car, it will be against the old car. And when I've questioned why, it's purely because it's a Range Rover. It's a Range Rover, and this is what they're trying to steal. I've been told that also Audis are on the hot list as well. So if you own an Audi, if you own a Range Rover, definitely do some research before you purchase or take control of the car. Because if I have that car for, let's say, 3 or 4 years, if I'm having to pay 6,000, and remember 6,000 is for this year. Now, if the thefts continue to increase, what's next year's premium going to be? Is it going to be 10,000? And then what happens the year after? Is it going to increase? Is it going to be 12,000? How much am I actually paying for insurance? I'll probably actually be paying more for insurance than I actually would for the lease payment, and it makes the car completely unviable. Now, I find this, believe it or not, I think that this is going to have a detriment effect on Land Rover or Range Rover sales. So any Range Rover or within that brand, because they're all of the same mechanics, they're going to have a dip in sales. So when I spoke to the rep at Range Rover today, I said, guys, I think I'm going to have to pull out. Believe it or not, they started negotiating with me. They said, well, Arsh, what can we do? I said, well, in actual fact, if you want me to keep the car, you're going to have to insure the car for me. And I use this as a negotiation tool. So again, use this to your advantage. So they're looking at whether they can insure the car for me because they've got Land Rover insurance, and they're going to see what premiums that they can come back. But I've told them that realistically, if I'm paying $1,200 this year and I've not had any crashes, I've not had any motoring convictions, or I've not had no points, there's no reason for me to be paying more than what I've been paying. If anything, they should be rewarding me for actually being a good driver. So I'm looking at all different angles and seeing what we can do. But I thought I'll put this out as a video, because it is testing times where everything is going up. Mortgage rates are going up, interest rates are going up, utility bills are going up. It's just another cost. And if I'm honest, I'm getting fed up of it. I genuinely get fed up of it because I think this country is generally now starting to grind on me. I'm thinking, well, is this kind of the start of the end? So I really hope that you've enjoyed this video. It's a bit of a money saving tactic. There's a couple of avenues you can go down the route of the fleet policy. Even if you've only got a couple of cars, explore the fleet policy. And not only that, within the fleet, you can actually add in other family members. So if you got in your fleet, if you got mom, dad, you've got brothers, you've got sisters, you can add them all in the fleet and you can spread the cost accordingly. So my brother, I know he's got quite a few cars, so we could add him into the fleet. Just bear in mind, the only thing I'd say is that if one of these people that are within your fleet have a crash, that has a detriment on your policy for next year. So take that into consideration. So there we have it, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed that video. So as I said at the start of this video, this channel is sponsored by the Property Investor app, which is the UK's first property investment platform, which showcases all kinds of deals all over the UK, whether it's a below market value, a rent to rent deal, a lease option deal. We've got them all there. Now, 2 ways to get involved. You can either go to the website, which is propertyinvestораpp.co.uk, or if you've got a smartphone, go to the App Store, type in Property Investor and download it from there. Now, if you like more free content like this, I release a podcast every Tuesday at 6 a.m. It's called The Property Rebel. Now, you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, just to name a few. Go and download, have a listen. Don't forget to leave me a mini review on the App Store. That'd be much appreciated. Now, finally, for those that are on social media, feel free to find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. It used to be Twitter. I think it's now called X, and TikTok, all under the handle of Arsh. On that note, really hope that you've enjoyed this video. It's a bit of a rant, but I really hope that you've enjoyed it, and I'll speak to you all very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.